Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Darrell Green, Superintendent of the Red Clay Consolidated School District, here to kick off this historic moment, the signing of Senate Bill 56, codifying the Opportunity Funds here in the state of Delaware. Let's give a round of First, we'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our legislators who are here. First and foremost, our primary sponsor for the bill, Senator Laura Sturgeon, and our co-sponsors of the bill, Senator Tizzy Lockman, Representative Williams, and Representative Chikwocha. And all of our other elected officials who are here behind us as well. We want to welcome them and thank them for their support in co-sponsoring this bill. As a superintendent of Red Clay, we look for opportunities to provide excellence and equity and really provide a foundation for all of our students. And what the Opportunity Fund has allowed us to do is to really be intentional around the work that we're doing for our students who come from low-income communities and, more importantly, our students who benefit from ELL services. Having the privilege, again, of leading Red Clay, I also have the perspective from the state level and working closely with the governor as he signs this bill today to know that his platform has been education first from day one. And so with the support of our legislature, with the support of the governor, we're here today, again, to have this historic moment, to do some level setting, but to be intentional about the supports and needs that our communities need and so deservingly are worthy of, quite frankly. And this is just the beginning. And I think Senate Bill 56 signals that. And it's without further ado that I would like to bring to the podium our Governor, John C. Carney. Governor.
Yes, and I'm going to defer to Secretary Bunting and come back to wrap it up at the end.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning to you all. I will open with an expression of deep, deep gratitude to our legislators for making this critical investment in Delaware's students, and a huge thanks to you, Governor, for championing this initiative. 4 years ago, we designed opportunity funding to enhance classroom-based support for those students who most needed our help. The weighted funding provides additional teachers, instructional materials, and specialized services for the state's most vulnerable students, those that are living in poverty and those that are learning English. In essence, this bill will be signed in a few minutes, and it codifies our provision, as Superintendent Green said, our provision of financial services and resources that are critical if schools are to offer the supports required to adequately meet our English learners and low-income students' needs and to ensure that they receive the educational opportunities that they deserve. During my tenure in Indian River as superintendent, I watched as our English learner population continuously grew and how our schools struggled to overcome the challenges posed by the increasing needs of these students with absolutely no support from the state. I now have the privilege of overseeing opportunity funding applications and implementation of the plans that they submit, and of visiting schools to witness how the locally selected opportunity fund investments are changing the life stories of our students. Not only does the funding enable schools to facilitate their learning process, but it ultimately translates into a more promising future for our communities and our state, since connections with families are strengthened as well. In essence, since its inception, opportunity funding has strongly impacted the lives of both Delaware's English learners and its economically challenged students. Senate Bill 56 ensures that their academic and social and emotional learning needs will continue to be adequately met. Hence, on our students' behalf, I sincerely thank all of you that has made this happen. Thank you. And Governor, does it go back to you, or Kim Stock is next? Kim Stock, our very, very successful Teacher of the Year this year.
Good morning. Thank you, Secretary Bunting. My name is Kim Stock, and I'm an English learner teacher for McCain High School in Red Clay. And I'm a 2021 Delaware Teacher of the Year and a board member-elect for the Brandywine School District. I want to thank Governor Carney, Secretary Bunting, and State Senators Laura Sturgeon and Elizabeth Lockman, and Representatives Kim Williams and Nandit Chikwocha for their leadership and vision to provide more funding and resources for our most vulnerable students, our lower income and our EL students. As a teacher of both lower income and EL students, I can give you specific examples of how this funding will directly help our learners. Just a caveat, none of the student names I will use are actual names, even though they are very real kids. Gerardo is a newcomer from Mexico, and this funding will help pay for after-school newcomer language classes for Gerardo to improve his basic conversational skills quicker so he can make friends and feel like he belongs. Sarah is a long-term EL student who was born in the United States. She speaks perfect English, but she needs her general ed teachers to be trained to be providing effective and appropriate accommodations for Sarah so she can both meet her content and language goals. And Abdul, who was born in Egypt, has been in Delaware for 5 years. Abdul needs a language acquisition plan that helps him improve his language proficiency that is separate from the goals of his special ed individual education plan. With increased funding for more EL teachers and resources by signing SB 56 into law, thousands of Gerardos, Sarahs, and Abduls and their families will have more opportunities to break barriers and help create a better Delaware for all of us. Governor Carney, on behalf of all the Delaware educators and our EL students and families, thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Delaware Hispanic Commissioner Charita Calvachi Machko.
My name is Charito Calvachi Mateico, and I am the co-chair of the Delaware Hispanic Commission. We thank Governor John Carney, Delaware Education Secretary Susan Banting, and the members of the General Assembly for recommending and passing a budget that includes an increase to the Opportunity Funding Initiative to target dedicated per-pupil funding for English learners and low-income students. We believe this increased funding and the passage of SB 56 will support essential services that will help our students succeed. We believe SB 56 is one important first step towards a long-term solution. The Delaware Hispanic Commission is excited that so many legislators spoke up during the passage of SB 56 and have signed on to House Concurrent Resolution 24, indicated a continued commitment to improving our entire funding system, including and not limited to opportunity funding. I'm very proud of the leadership of the members of the Education Committee from the Delaware Hispanic Commission who worked for this to happen. Rest assured that the Delaware Hispanic Commission is committed to raising the voices of EL students, parents, and teachers. We heard them calling out for additional support and urging the state to examine the system resource inequities that inequities that existed long before this pandemic. And we thank you all for listening.
Gracias, Charita. I look forward to working together. I'm Laura Sturgeon, the bill's prime sponsor, and I'm honored to be here with all of you today. I am both a retired teacher of 25 years in our public schools and un hispanohablante, a Spanish speaker who grew up in a Spanish-speaking household. So I feel I was uniquely suited to be the prime sponsor of this bill. With today's signing of Senate Bill 56, we are at long last acknowledging and acting upon the fact that with more resources, our public education system can better serve students from low-income families and English learners, something classroom teachers, guidance counselors, and school-level administrators have always known. And the reason we know is because in the absence of funding dedicated to these children, we stepped in, went above and beyond, spending countless hours after school providing one-on-one tutoring, using our planning and grading time to communicate with parents and point them to community programs and resources to help with food and housing insecurity, and allowed students to come during their lunch period to our rooms or offices to process traumatic events they'd experienced or witnessed in their homes or their neighborhoods. And educators will keep doing these things and more. Buying winter coats, interview attire, secret stashes of healthy snacks, bus passes, to name but a few ways we try to support our at-risk students. With the passage of HB 56, individual adult helpers will no longer be acting alone and independently, but rather the system itself will be built to address the myriad needs of our students. Teachers often say, Maslow before Bloom. That is, we can't even get to Bloom's taxonomy until we've met students' basic needs for safety, security, nourishment, both physical and emotional. Those are the bottom tiers of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I want to thank the advocates, the governor's office, and DOE for working together to bring us to this point. Weighted funding for low-income and English language learners will make a difference, and it helps level the playing field, and it gives our students the opportunity not only to survive, but to thrive. Thank you. And I would like to invite any of my colleagues who wish to speak. In fact, did you?
I'll just say something briefly.
I'd like to invite Kim Williams, Representative Williams, my counterpart in the House Education Chair, to speak, and then any of my other colleagues who wish to speak. Kim.
Thank you, Senator Sturgeon. I'm so excited to be here today. I've been in the General Assembly for 9 years, and I have to say this is probably one of our most productive years. I thoroughly enjoy working with my counterparts in the Senate, Tizzy and Laura, and my Vice Chairman Namdi. I feel like we're really connected and we have our groove going, and we're going to make huge changes for students here in Delaware. So I just want to thank them for their leadership and their friendship, and thanks Senator Sturgeon for her leadership on this important bill, and all the stakeholders, and to the JFC members and to my colleagues in the House for showing their support, and to Governor Carney. So thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I just echo what my colleagues have said. It's very exciting to be here to see this opportunity funding permanently codified. It has been some time coming, and you know, not the type of thing every day that we get to do. So it's a real thrill. We know the difference that it's going to make for our most vulnerable students. So you know, you often hear in our line of work as legislators that if you want to see what the values of a state and its leaders are, to look at their budget, and certainly this makes it very, very clear, you know, as was said prior, the priorities of our governor, the priorities of our legislature, and I couldn't be prouder of that we have made it very clear that we are stepping up, and I think that we will continue to step up in this way and investing in leveling the playing field, investing in equity for all students. So I want to thank Governor Carney for his vision around opportunity funding. I want to thank, of course, my colleagues, you know, the chairs of the House and Senate Education Committees, and Representative Chikwocha, my fellow vice chair of those committees, and certainly thank our fellow legislators who supported this legislation. That was also critical. And I don't want to go without giving a special shout out to a particular set of advocates sitting behind me, behind everyone else where you can't see them, but leaders of the NAACP who have poured an intense amount of work Richard Smith, Freeman Williams, and Jay Street, who have put an intense amount of work into seeing this through and making sure that this happened today. So thanks very much to them, and thanks to all who've been part of our being here for bill signing.
Many other comments have been said. There's just a few points that I feel that I can add. One in saying to our governor, I believe it was maybe the first or second year of opportunity funding, but he and I toured Mount Pleasant Elementary School, and they were one of the first schools to receive a grant and have a program that was up and running. And that day when the governor and I toured that program, there was a young student, maybe second or third grade, but she was having a very a tough day. Tough day emotionally. You can see it in her body language, in her face, her demeanor was just isolated herself from her classmates. And the governor and I, we were touring the room and everything was fine. They're doing the show, showing us how they're using their opportunity programs, creating wellness and mindfulness inside of the school. And this young lady was guided or directed to a part of her classroom where she was able to help self-regulate. There were, different devices that she can play with and just calm her mind. And by the time the tour ended, she was back with her class. And just to see that type of investment, it reminds me of the growth and the development of these opportunity funds. We have a very old and antiquated funding system that is very rigid, but to see it be able to convert and to meet those needs. So often I tell of a story of 7th and Jefferson Street where there was a murder, few murders now, but there was a murder. A young man named Tone was killed, and his family had created a memorial there, and we ended up planting a fence and put trees there, and his family rode all over the fence. In that same corner, their children get on the bus stop every morning, going to Bayard, going to Bancroft, and going to Stubbs. Bus stops going everywhere. And it hit me every morning that those same students are reading these comments, "I miss you, Daddy, I love you," and "never gone but never forgotten," every single day. And then they get on the bus and they arrive at school and they're supposed to be normal children. They're supposed to come here ready to learn. It's impossible, literally impossible, because of the community violence, because of the trauma, because of the ongoing hurt, the ongoing threat of violence, constant violence in our communities. This opportunity funding will make a difference. It will give us the opportunity to provide additional supports, additional hands-on social workers, therapists, there to meet and greet children every single day. Not a program that starts and we get a grant and it's going. No, this is funding that will last, that will be committed to our children, committed to address these needs. So I cannot thank the governor, all of my colleagues enough for this very important first step, because we know there is much more to do. There is so many additional needs that our children have, but this is a great first step in recognizing that and truly making our education system just a bit more equitable and fair, meeting the needs of our children. So thank you all.
And I want to thank all the legislators. Please help me thank them for their leadership, for their commitment. I wanted to bat cleanup for this ceremony today, this celebration, because this is personal for me. It obviously is a group and a team effort, and I want to thank all the folks that are here that have had a hand in it. It's good to see you, Dan, here in the work that you're doing. Christina, School District. Darrell, thanks for allowing us to use Shortridge, and thank you for your leadership here in Red Clay School District. Many of you have heard me talk about my father, who worked in the old Wilmington Public School District for probably 15 years or so. And I remember distinctly some of the conversations that I had with my dad about the challenges that he and his colleagues faced in Wilmington at the time, which was prior to desegregation, completely segregated a school district. And my dad's job was to be responsible for all the special programs, the kind of programs that Nnamdi talked about. And I can remember him complaining often about, at that time, the leadership of the school district. The board itself was connected with the city of Wilmington, and his frustration with his inability to get funded some of the programs that he thought were necessary for the children that he and his teams were responsible for. I remember in particular a summer program that he took at Harvard up in Boston. He took all 9 of his children with us up there, and it got to be a real fun experience for him. But he came home kind of lit up with fire about the idea of getting these children early, that if we didn't get them by the time they're age 3 and 4, that we're really losing an opportunity. And so then fast forward many, many years, when I served for 8 years as lieutenant governor, was just after the No Child Left Behind legislation required district to identify the differences among student populations. And for the first time, I think, we discovered as a community what my father had known for many years before that, which was that some students weren't as successful in school as they needed to be successful in life. And these were students of color, these were students that were English learners, these were students from low-income backgrounds. These were my neighbors. Here, I live a Jim Simmons 9-iron shot from here, just over, on a good day, Jim. He can hit a hell of a 9-shot. But these are the children, Darrell, that I see walking by my house every morning on their way to Warner School. These are the children, one of whom I mentored when I worked for then Governor Tom Cartmer, who lived over here right off of Washington Street and walked to Warner every day. These are children who need resources in addition to children from more advantaged backgrounds. And way back in 2003 or 4, I made a commitment to myself to use the privilege of public office to do everything that I possibly could to address the needs of those children. And so the signing of this bill today and the $38 million, J Street, 38, 5 more than the bill requires. And by the way, I want to will go to just those services. And Darrell, you and Dan know that part of the responsibility of Secretary Bunting and Jim Simmons and John Sheehan and all of our is to identify the things that are really working, not just throw it into all the resources that we provide for children, to make sure that we're really focusing on things that move the needle for their children. We know where our challenges exist. This will be an incredible tool to address all those students. This is the happiest day of my 5 years as governor, because it gives me an opportunity to honor my father, and it gives me an opportunity to fulfill a commitment I made to myself the first time I ran for governor, unsuccessfully. And I also want to, this is, it's been a long time coming. It's fairly new for a lot of the people, but people that it's not new for, and I want to ask J Street and Freeman and Mouse if they would come up and stand next to me, are those who've been advocating for our children in this city for a long, long time. J Street and I have an interesting relationship. We're like brothers, if you will. We fight all the time. But God forbid if you go after Jay, or maybe somebody well, maybe Jay doesn't mind that so much, but where is he? Nobody has fought harder for the children that this legislation is going to help the children in the city of Wilmington than J Street. And he can be a pain in the rear, trust me. But you can guarantee, if you make an agreement with Jay and with Freeman and Mouse, they're going to support you 100%. I want to publicly thank Jay and Freeman for the negotiation. It was easy for me. I have this, I'm still a poor kid come from Claymont, so I have this, like aversion to spending more than I have. And so Jay kept pushing me to a number, and I said, Jay, I just want to make sure that we can follow through on this commitment. And it is a stretch commitment for all of us. And I want to thank Jay for pushing us to that limit, and Freeman for being the good guy and the good guy, bad guy routine. And of course, Mouse, for your long-term friendship and advocacy. Lastly, I want to thank the legislators again for approving the budget prior to today, June 30th, and for approving, most importantly, the funding level of $38 million and a commitment to do more consistent with our agreement with the ACLU and the NAACP, and giving me an opportunity to fulfill a commitment I made to myself and to honor my father. And now I have the privilege to sign this piece of legislation. All right. So this is Senate Bill number 56. It is the legislation that puts in place the framework for opportunity funding, which is a specific level of funding that is in the budget. Good budget practices is not to pass bills that are not in the budget. And this was done the right way all the way along. It has money in the budget. It fulfills our commitment to Jay, to Freeman, to Richard Mouse. I can't call you Richard, sorry. And I appreciate all the legislators, again, who were the main sponsors, those who have been advocates. I should recognize Matt Den, who's here, as co-chairman of the Reading Commission, a long-time advocate for this kind of funding. There it is. There's Laura.
Important moment for our kids.
All right, let's get that legislative session ended.
We got to take home pens?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Ken, get a pen.
Do you want to get in there? Oh, I guess I should. Let's see. Can we get us all in? Oh, here we go. All right, Jay. Move your head, please. All right, there we go. Cheese.